Today's topic, that is ocular histology. We'll be starting with the ocular histology. So in ocular histology, mainly we have to study the three basic layers of eyeball. In ocular histology, we have to study three basic layers of eyeball. Okay. Rest, the overall structure of the eyeball will be discussed in lecture and in dissection hall. But here we'll be mainly focusing on the three layers of the eyeball. Okay. So before going to the three layers of the eyeball, there are a few basic things which you have to know. As you have seen every time before going to the histo, the basic things were discussed. Okay. So similarly, basic things we'll be discussing, and then we'll go to the ocular histology. Three basic layers. Now this particular practical will be divided into two classes. That means next week also we'll continue with the ocular histology. Okay, three layers are there. Among them, two layers I will try to complete by today, and the last layer, the innermost layer, that is the retina, that will be discussing in the next week. Okay, everything cannot be discussed in one class. And if you remember, few days back I have told you that this is the most difficult part of the histology. Okay, so let's start with the ocular histology. Now in introduction, you know that eyes are the peripheral organs of vision. Now if anyone asks you, how do you see a object? With our eyes we see any object, right? How to see that object? How do you see that object? Have you studied this in physiology? No. Okay, so first of all, the eyeballs, these are peripheral organs of vision. Where they are situated? They are situated inside the orbit, bony orbit. You have studied about the skull, right? In the skull, I hope you have seen the orbit. Okay, see these are the bony orbit. So when we'll study about the eyeball, structure of eyeball, gross structure of eyeball, at that time you have to study about the bony orbit. You have to know about the boundaries of the bony orbit, the roof, floor, medial wall, medial wall, everything you have to study. Okay, this is very important in order to understand the normal structure of the eyeball. Now if you see the eyeball, it's just like a camera. It is having a lens. Okay, so lens is also there in our eyeball, right? Now it produces the image of object that we see. Okay, now the image which is produced, it will fall in the light sensitive membrane that is called as retina. Okay, especially what happens when the light is entering through cornea, then the pupil. Okay, after that it will go and fall on the retina. Once it is falling on the retina, at that time what will happen? There are different layers of the retina, different cells are present. Okay, so those cells, what it will do, it will convert the light into visual stimulus. Okay, it will convert into visual stimulus, and that stimulus from retina, it will go to the which area? It will go to the visual center. Okay, where it is present? It is present in the cerebral cortex of the occipital lobe. Okay, and after that only we can the perception of the vision is done. That means we can see the object. Okay, so for that a pathway is there, that is called visual pathway. I hope in physiology you will be studying about that visual pathway. That means from retina, the visual impulses, how they are reaching the visual cortex, which is present in the occipital lobe. Okay, so that entire pathway is called visual pathway. Now visual pathway, so many structures are there, so everything you have to study about the visual pathway. Now in the cortex, once it reach the impulses reaching the cortex, then only perception will be there. That means we can see the object. Okay, now if you see the diameter of an eyeball, it is approximately 25 millimeter in diameter. Okay, and movements of the eyeballs are also taking place. For that we are having 6 different extraocular muscles without moving your head. Okay, you can see on the left side also, you can see on the right side. Just check, don't move your head like this. Without moving your head, you can see on the right side also, you can see on the left side also, by moving your eyeball. Have you noticed that? I hope you have noticed that. If not, stand in front of a mirror and try to see the things. Those are called as movement of the eyeball. Okay? Now those movements of the eyeball are done. How they are done? With the help of the extraocular muscles. Okay, 6 pairs of extraocular muscles are there, okay, either side. So 6 on this side, 6 on that side, okay. So those muscles are helping in doing various movements of the eyeball. So that all those things will be discussed in the gross structure. Next, if you see the structure of the eyeball, okay, from outside to inside, okay, it is made up of how many layers? From outside to inside, how many layers are there in the eyeball? 3 layers are there. What are those 3 layers? As you can see, outer fibrous layer, middle vascular layer, and inner nervous layer. These are the 3 layers of the eyeball. Okay, outside to inside. First is the fibrous layer, middle one is the vascular layer, and innermost is the nervous layer. Okay. Now, if you see the outer fibrous layer, it is made up of 2 parts, that is sclera and cornea. Okay. Next, middle vascular coat, it is made up of 3 parts, that is choroid, ciliary body, and iris. And inner nervous coat, it is made up of retina. Okay. In retina also parts are there, nervous retina, non-nervous retina. Okay, that will be discussed. So our focus in this particular class will be to study the layers, okay, each and every layer starting from here to here. Now before I start, let me tell you one thing, these are going to be very difficult, okay, especially when we will discuss about the retina. That's why I have given a separate class to the retina. Okay. Next, if you see the eyeball, let me show you the diagram. I hope you have seen this kind of images earlier. Okay, when you were in 10, 12 standard, at that time of images you have seen, right? Now, in our eyeball, 2 segments are there, anterior segment and posterior segment. Okay, 2 segments रहता है. So, how to divide the anterior and posterior segment? The area behind the lens, this particular part is the posterior segment. In front of the lens, this entire part is the anterior segment. Okay. The eyeball is divided into 2 segments, anterior segment and posterior segment. Okay. So what is the demarcation? That is the lens. Posterior to the lens is the posterior segment, anterior to the lens is the anterior segment. Now again the anterior segment is divided into 2 chambers, anterior chamber and posterior chamber, and in the middle we are getting the iris, if you can see the diagram properly. So see, this is the anterior segment where it is divided into 2 chambers. This is the anterior chamber, this is the posterior chamber. In between both the chambers we are getting the iris. Okay, this iris is dividing it into 2 chambers. So the space between the cornea, okay, and the iris. So this is the cornea and the iris. In between these two, this particular area is called as anterior chamber. And space between the iris and front of the lens, this is the iris and front of the lens, this small area is called as the posterior chamber. These are having significance. Okay, these particular areas, these particular chambers are having important clinical significance. Okay. So anterior chamber, posterior chamber, and as I said, total 2 segments are the anterior segment and posterior segment. Okay. Next, here you can see the layers of the eyeball. So how many layers are there? 3 layers are there, from outside to inside. So see, which is the outermost layer? Can you see over here? Fibrous. Tunic means layer. The meaning of the tunic is layer. So here you can see the outermost layer, that is sclera, and this is the cornea. Okay. After that, here you can see the vascular tunic. Okay, this is the vascular tunic. Vascular tunic, we are having 3 components. First of all, iris, then ciliary body, and the choroid. And in case of inner layer or the nervous layer, it is made up of retina, where pigmented, that means non-nervous part and nervous part of the retina are present. Okay. So we'll take one by one and then we'll see the structure as we do generally. Okay. Now here the concept is totally changed. Okay, यहाँ पे concept totally change होगा. यहाँ का concept क्या होगा? Before I start, let me tell you one thing. Here only you will see layers, layers के बाद layers, layers के बाद layers, nothing else. Okay, if I start from the sclera, in sclera I will see 3 layers are there. Next, when I will go to the cornea, 5 layers are there. Okay, like this, if I go deeper, as you will go deep, more layers will come. and ultimately when you reach retina 10 layers will be there. ठीक है, तो इसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है, so many layers are there, one by one after another. Okay, so you will get confused at the end of the class. Okay, and during the time of exam also you will get confused that which layer is first, which layer is second, and serially you have to know about the layers, serially you have to write about the layers. Okay, because those layers are placed serially one after another. Okay, either from outside to inside or inside to outside. That is the most difficult part, and that is the only concept for the entire eyeball. और कोई concept है ही नहीं. जैसे previously we have discussed for GIT 4 basic layers are there which is followed throughout the GIT. Then the other organs whatever we have discussed, for example if you take the example of pancreas, if you take the example of most of the endocrine gland, okay, most not all, we have seen that connective tissue capsule is there, right? Capsule is sending septa, dividing into lobules, that is one type of concept. यहाँ पे concept क्या है? Only layers. Okay, outside to inside layers, इसके नीचे और layers, इसके नीचे और भी layers. That is the only concept. And in each and every layer, different types of cells are present, different types of fibers are there, somewhere blood vessels are present, somewhere blood vessels are absent. Okay. Okay, so I'll start with the fibrous layer. So in fibrous layer, what we have to study? Sclera and cornea. Okay. Can anyone tell me the difference between sclera and cornea? See, sclera and cornea together they are forming the fibrous layer. Okay. Now, when they are forming the fibrous layer, most of the eyeball is covered by sclera. Okay. Only anterior 1/6 part is not covered by sclera, but it is covered by cornea, through which the light is entering. And if you see the sclera, it is not transparent in nature, but cornea is transparent in nature. Okay, if you see the sclera, it is white in color. Okay, ये जो white color का portion दिखाई देता है, that is nothing but the sclera. Okay, and if you see from lateral view, a transparent structure will be seen, that is the cornea. Okay, जो white color का portion दिखाई देता है, that is sclera. Okay, तो once you know where is the sclera, where is the cornea, next what we have to do, though histo is there, so we have to go by layers. So what are the layers of the sclera, what are the layers of the cornea, and in each and every layer what is present. Okay, so fibrous layer, it consists of sclera and cornea which continuous with each other. Okay, sclera, as I said, most of the part is covered with sclera and only 1/6 is covered by cornea. It doesn't mean that sclera and cornea are present in a separate layer. No, sclera ऐसे है जो anterior 1/6 है उसमें, इसके बाद cornea होगा, और sclera और cornea के बीच में एक junction होता है, that is called Sclerocorneal junction or also called as Limbus. Sclerocorneal junction or also called as Limbus. Okay. Now, the main function of the fibrous layer is to provide the shape of the eye and support the deeper structure. That is the main function of the fibrous layer. Next, if you see, the sclera comprises majority of the fibrous layer, approximately 85%. Only 15% is made up of cornea, rest 85% of the eyeball is covered by sclera. Sclera का function क्या है? Provides attachment to the extraocular muscle. Just now I have mentioned, with the help of extraocular muscle you can do various movement. Okay, ऊपर भी देख सकते हो, नीचे भी देख सकते हो, दोनों साइड में देख सकते हो. So how it is possible? With the help of extraocular muscle. Okay, extraocular muscle means the muscle's origin is taking place at the bony parts of various part of the skull, and attachment is taking place in the eyeball, where it helps in doing different types of movements of the eyeball. Okay, those are the extraocular muscles. So the attachments of the extraocular muscles are taking place in the sclera. Next, as I said, it is the visible white part of the eye. Okay, the white color area which you can see, that is the sclera. Next, cornea is the transparent and positioned centrally in front of the eye. Okay, if you see the cornea, it is also a part of the fibrous layer. Okay, but it is transparent in nature and it is present anterior part of the eyeball. present on the anterior part. Why it is transparent? Because light has to enter. If light is not entering, you can't see anything, right? That's why this particular part is transparent in nature. Now in this particular diagram, can you see where is the sclera and where is the cornea? ओके ये देखो ये पूरा पार्ट जो ब्लू कलर में दिखाया है ना, दिस एंटायर ब्लू कलर पार्ट, दिस इज स्क्लेरा एंड दिस स्मॉल एंटीरियर पार्ट which is transparent in nature is made up of cornea. Okay, this diagram why I have shown, so that you can understand that which part is covered by sclera and which part is covered by cornea. Next, there are some important features. Okay, first of all, if you see the sclera, it is white in color. Now the question is, sclera and cornea, ठीक है, both are the part of fibrous membrane. Okay, 3 layers are there. Okay, so जो fibrous membrane है और fibrous layer है, sclera and cornea are the parts of fibrous layer. Then why sclera is not transparent in nature but cornea is transparent in nature? Because of the structure, because of the arrangement of the bundles of the collagen fibers. Okay. Now, human sclera is white in color. White appearance is because of the scattering of all wavelengths of the light. Why? Because of the irregular arrangement of the bundles of the collagen fibers. दोनों में collagen fibers का bundles रहता है. But in case of sclera, irregularly arranged. In case of cornea, they are regularly arranged. That is also an important reason. In case of children, it is bluish in color, okay, because of the extremely thin sclera which allows the visibility of underlying choroid, where blood vessels are present. That's why it is bluish in color. And in case of old age, due to deposition of the adipose tissue, it appears yellow in color. In case of children, if you see carefully, white color का जो area है, that will appear bluish. Why? Because the sclera is very thin. And in case of old people, that particular area becomes yellowish. Why? Because of the deposition of adipose tissue. Okay, these are the changes. Now, embryologically, the corneal stroma and endothelium sclera originates from the mesoderm. Now, already I have told you that there is a junction between the sclera and the cornea, that is called as Sclerocorneal junction, a very important part. Okay, anteriorly the sclera becomes continuous with cornea and the junction is called as Sclerocorneal junction, or also called as Limbus. Okay, now a circular channel, okay, that is called as Canal of Schlemm, is located in the sclera just behind the Sclerocorneal junction. Okay, posterior to the Sclerocorneal junction, a canal is present, that is called as Canal of Schlemm. Anyone, have you heard about this Canal of Schlemm? No. Have you heard about aqueous humor, vitreous body? That you have heard, yes. तो जो aqueous humor रहता है, mainly anterior segment में aqueous humor रहता है, ठीक है. तो जो aqueous humor है, aqueous humor का जो dynamics है, flow of the aqueous humor, okay, aqueous humor continuously production हो रहा है and then it is going back to the venous system. Like this, the flow of the aqueous humor is taking place, ठीक है. So through the canal of Schlemm, aqueous humor is flowing and going back into the venous system. अगर मान लो एक जो canal of Schlemm है, if it is get blocked or the meshwork of capillaries which are present, if they are get blocked, then patient will suffer from a disease that is called as glaucoma. I hope you have heard about the name of that term, glaucoma. Okay, where intraocular pressure increases. Okay. Next, a triangular mass of scleral tissue is also there, projecting towards the cornea, just medial to the sinus or medial to the canal of Schlemm. That is called as scleral spar. It is also helping in the movement of the aqueous humor through the canal of Schlemm. Okay, triangular shaped structure is present. Okay. Next, if you see, the optic nerve is attached to the back of the eyeball. Okay, at a short distance medial to the posterior pole, where the optic nerve is attached, where the impulses are carried to the cortex, cerebral cortex. Now here what happens, the sclera is perforated just like a sieve and the area is called as lamina cribrosa. So sclera is covering the entire eyeball, right? So optic nerve has to come out. When the optic nerve is coming out, it has to pierce the sclera. So the area which is pierced, that particular area is called as lamina Cribrosa. Okay, वहाँ पे perforations रहता है because optic nerve is made up of multiple fibers. एक ही fiber नहीं रहता है, multiple fibers रहता है. So they will pierce and then they will come out. So that's why this is called as lamina cribrosa. Now this I was talking about this particular area. Now if you see this particular area, okay, this is sclera, okay, and this is cornea. If you see the diagram, this is sclera and this is cornea. So this is the sclerocorneal junction. Now behind the sclerocorneal junction, you can see a canal is there. This is called as canal of Schlemm. Okay. तो क्या होता है, this particular part is the anterior chamber. So anterior chamber में क्या रहता है, aqueous humor रहता है. तो aqueous humor जब production होगा, okay, just like the CSF, we know that CSF production is taking place in the ventricles, and after that again it is going back into the venous system, right? Similarly यहाँ पे जो production हो रहा है, okay, aqueous humor, then it has to go back to the venous system. So how it will go back? Through this canal of Schlemm. Okay, and medial to that you can see a triangular shaped tissue of sclera is present, that is called as scleral spar, which is helping the movement of the aqueous humor through the canal of Schlemm. Okay, so that is the basic structure of sclera and cornea. Okay, next we'll see the microscopic structure, that means the layers of the sclera and then layers of the cornea. Now sclera can be divided into following parts from outside to inside. Now what are those parts? Three layers are there from outside to inside. First is the episclera, then sclera proper and lamina fusca. These are the three layers of sclera, okay, from outside to inside. Now what is there in the episclera, what is there in the sclera proper, and what is there in the lamina fusca, that we have to know. So if you see the episclera, they are thin, densely vascularized layer of connective tissue. Okay, thin layer, okay, but it is vascularized connective tissue. That means blood vessels are present, and this is situated. This particular episclera is situated below the Tenon's capsule. Now you are studying the skull. Okay, in skull, I hope you have studied the norma verticalis and norma occipitalis also. Okay, norma frontalis you have not studied. When you will study the norma frontalis, at that time you have to study about the orbit, which I have shown you just now. Okay, at that time you will know about the Tenon's capsule. Okay, Tenon's capsule actually it is a covering of the eyeball which separates it from the fatty tissue or fat which is present in the orbit. Okay, orbit के अंदर जो eyeball रहता है ना, for cushioning this one fat is there, or you can say adipose tissues are there. So that adipose tissue is separated, okay, by the Tenon's capsule. So below the Tenon's capsule, this episclera is present. Okay, you can see overlying the sclera situated below the Tenon's capsule. So it is a facial sheath that surrounds the eyeball, separating it from the orbital fat or the fatty tissue which is present inside the orbit. Okay, next in this particular episclera, vessels, unmyelinated nerve fibers are also there. Along with that, you can see bundles of collagen fibers, fibroblasts, and some amount of melanocyte cells are present. Okay, these are the contents of the episclera. So mainly blood vessels are present. Okay, along with that connective tissue. Next, what is present? Some amount of collagen fibers and fibroblasts are present. Okay. Now anteriorly the episclera is blending, or it is connecting with the subconjunctival tissue. Okay, and it becomes very thin and indistinct posterior of the eyeball. Why it is very thin? Because in that particular part it is pierced by the optic nerve. That's why it becomes very thin. Next is the sclera proper. Sclera proper is also called as scleral stroma or substantia propria. Okay. Now if you see this particular area or this particular layer, mainly it is made up of collagen bundles, elastic fibers, fibroblast, and ground substance. Okay. And in ground substance, proteoglycans and glycoproteins are present. Together they are forming the main thickness or main bulk of the sclera. Okay, that's why it is also called as sclera proper or stroma of the sclera, or also called as substantia propria. Collagen bundles are present, but here they are irregularly arranged. That's why the sclera is transparent in nature. So in the beginning I have mentioned that sclera is transparent in nature. Okay, sclera is not transparent in nature, and it appears white. Why? Because all the light are deflected because the arrangement of the collagen fibers. Okay, that's why you can see it is not transparent like the cornea. Now the variation of the collagen fibers are more marked in mid sclera, while the diameter of the fibers ranges from 50 to 400 nanometer. So different size of collagen fiber bundles are present in the middle of the sclera, and you can see the size. Now the scleral fibroblasts which are there, they will play a major role in the synthesis of the collagen fibers in the sclera proper. And lastly is the lamina fusca. This particular part is the lamina fusca. Okay, तो इसमें क्या रहता है? Abundant pigment cells, that is melanocytes are present, and those melanocytes are migrated from the choroid, which is the vascular layer. Connective tissue is also present, which is loosely arranged in this particular area, and this lamina fusca is separated from the choroid by a potential space that is called as suprachoroidal or perichoroidal space. Okay, now this particular part is very important. Okay, the lamina fusca is separated from the choroid. Okay, because deep to the lamina fusca choroid starts. Okay, तो जो choroid है, that is a part of the vascular layer where blood vessels are present. We will study about that. Okay, दोनों के बीच में एक potential space रहता है, and that is called as suprachoroidal space. Okay, now this particular space is having clinical significance. For example, this particular space is used for introduction of different types of drugs in the eyeball. Okay, to introduce different types of drugs, this particular space is used, suprachoroidal or perichoroidal space. Okay. Now this is the diagram. In this diagram, first of all, you can see Tenon's capsule is there, which is a facial covering of the eyeball, right, which is separating the eyeball from the fatty tissue present in the orbit. Next to that or deep to that, which layer is there? You can see this is the episclera. तो episclera में mainly क्या रहता है? Blood vessels are there, collagen fibers. Okay, small amount of collagen fibers are present, as you can see over here in the episclera. Next, the thick layer which you can see over here, this is the scleral stroma or sclera proper. Now in this particular layer, what you can see the fibroblast cells are there and bundles of collagen fibers are there. Along with that, glycoproteins are also present. Okay, proteoglycans and glycoproteins are present. Now this particular layer is forming most of the thickness of the sclera, and here the bundles of the collagen fibers are not properly organized. That's why the sclera is not transparent in nature. Okay, this layer, scleral stroma. Deep to that, here you can see this is the lamina fusca. Now here what you can see, connective tissue is there, and the most significantly melanocyte cells are present, and those melanocytes are migrated from the choroid, and in between the lamina fusca and deep to that we will be getting the choroid. A potential space is there that is called as suprachoroidal lamina or perichoroidal space. Okay, so this is all about the sclera. Next, after sclera, which is the next one? Cornea. Okay, so cornea is the anterior 1/6 of the eyeball. Okay, anterior 1/6 part is made up of cornea, which is transparent in nature. If you see the shape of the cornea, it is convex. Okay, shape of the cornea is convex, colorless and avascular. Previously, we have seen that in case of sclera, the layers which are present in that blood vessels are present. For example, in episclera also we have seen blood vessels are there. Okay, but if you see the layers of the cornea, उसमें blood vessels नहीं रहता है. Okay, it is avascular in nature, but it is having rich nerve supply. जो cornea होता है, it is rich in nerve supply, but it is avascular. Blood vessels are not there. Okay. Now, if you see the microscopic structure of the cornea, it is made up of how many layers? 5 layers are there. Okay. As you can see, corneal epithelium, Bowman's membrane, corneal stroma, Descemet's membrane, and corneal endothelium. not epithelium. This is endothelium. This is corneal epithelium. Okay. So if you go from outermost layer to innermost layer, okay, these are the layers. Okay. So see, as I have mentioned in the beginning, in case of eyeball, nothing else. Only you have to study about the layers, layers after layer, layer after layer, nothing else. And that's make it very difficult and very complicated, because in each and every layer you will get something new. Now again, please see the diagram. So here, this particular part is covered by sclera. So in sclera, what is present, what are the layers that we have discussed. Now we have to discuss about the cornea, this particular part. Okay. Cornea is very important because whatever we see, the light is entering through the cornea and it has to be transparent. Why it is transparent? Because of the definite arrangement of the collagen fibers which are present in the stroma of the cornea. Now, can anyone tell me what will be the lining epithelium? What will be the lining epithelium? No. How simple? Cornea is communicating with the exterior. Okay, friction is taking place. Then how it will be, if any area where friction is taking place, then which epithelium will be present? Stratified. Okay, not simple. So if you see the corneal epithelium, okay, it is stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium, or also called as corneal epithelium. Okay. Now here you have to understand one thing, how the cells are arranged. Stratified का मतलब क्या है? What is the meaning of stratified? हाँ? Stratified meaning multiple layer. Stratified का मतलब क्या है? Multiple layers. That means cells are arranged in multiple layers. So you have to know how the cells are arranged. For example, cells adjacent to the basement membrane, how they are arranged, and cells on the surface, how they are arranged. Okay. So you can see deepest layer epithelium, these are columnar, middle layers these are polygonal, and superficial layer these are flattened. Okay. So like this, in different layers the arrangement of the cells are different. Okay. In case of the corneal epithelium. Now the cells are arranged with great regularity. If you see the electron EM structure, the superficial surface of the cells, okay, shows projections, and they are in the form of microvilli or folds of plasma membrane. Now this is very important. जो superficial cells होता है, if you see the surface, okay, here you can see microvilli or you can see some folds of the plasma membrane. Now why it is present? Now this will not allow the cornea to become dry. Okay, this will not allow the cornea to become dry. So these folds are believed to play important role in retaining the film of fluid over the surface of the cornea. Or else what will happen? The cornea will become dry. Okay. Now the corneal epithelium regenerates rapidly after damage. So this is the corneal epithelium. Next layer is the, okay, before going to the next layer, here you can see it is a microscopic structure but 3D diagram. In this 3D diagram, can you see the corneal epithelium? ठीक है, ये देखो, this is a very nice image. Okay, where you can see this is the corneal epithelium. So as I said, corneal epithelium is arranged into multiple layers. Okay, see, multiple layers of cells are there. Okay. Next, on the surface epithelium, that means the cells which are present on the surface, in that microvilli like structures are present, as you can see. So what it will do? It will prevent the drying of the cornea. Next is the Bowman's membrane. So if any lining epithelium is there, okay, where it is resting, lining epithelium, basement membrane, lining epithelium जो होता है कहाँ पे rest करेगा? Basement membrane. Or you have studied about that. Okay, so that basement membrane is provided by Bowman's membrane, nothing else. Can you see the Bowman's membrane over here in the diagram? तो ये पूरा layer, this entire layer is made up of epithelium. Okay, stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium, or also called as corneal epithelium. ठीक है, तो इसका जो basement membrane होगा, okay, the cells where they will lie that is called the women's membrane, okay, which you can see over here. ये देखो women's membrane. See here, as I said, nerve endings are there. For example, the cornea which is there, it is having rich nerve supply. Blood supply नहीं है cornea में. You will not get any blood vessel in the cornea, but it is having rich nerve supply. That's why you can see some nerve endings. Okay, this I am not going to discuss right now. That we'll discuss in the gross structure. Okay, when we'll discuss the nerve supply also. Now, the women's membrane are also called as anterior basement membrane or limiting lamina. It is a homogeneous membrane where the corneal epithelium is resting. Corneal epithelium है तो epithelium rest करेगा. कहाँ पे rest करेगा? Women's membrane. Okay. Thickness is 8 to 10 micrometer. Randomly it is oriented collagen fibrils are there. Now it acts as a barrier, prevent the spread of infection also, very important, and provides support to the corneal epithelium. Once damaged, it cannot regenerate, leading to scar formation and permanent impairment of the vision. Okay, so ये जो basement membrane है, उसका regeneration नहीं होता है. Okay, that is also important. So that is the women's membrane. Women's membrane is nothing but the basement membrane for corneal epithelium, where the corneal epithelium is resting. Next, the most important layer of the cornea is the corneal stroma. Most important layer. Why it is important? Because most of the thickness of the cornea is made up of this particular layer. Okay, so 90% of the corneal thickness is made up of this layer, that is the corneal stroma. तो यहाँ पे क्या रहता है? As you can see, type 1 collagen fibrils and ground substance. These are the main ingredients of this particular layer. Now the fibers are in the form of lamellae. That means the fibers, bundles of collagen fibers are arranged in the form of lamellae. Okay, and the arrangements are particular in nature. If you see the arrangement, the stroma is transparent because of the orderly arrangement of the collagen fibrils. Okay, as you can see, the lamellae are arranged parallel to each other, whereas the fibers are perpendicular to each other with the adjacent lamellae. Okay, that is the definite arrangement of the collagen fibers which are present in the stroma. That's why the stroma is transparent in nature. Now, between the adjacent lamellae, ground substance, flattened fibroblasts are also present. Okay, as I have mentioned earlier, here you can see type 1 collagen fibrils are there and ground substance. So this ground substance is present in between the adjacent lamellae. And if collagen fibers are there, then please keep that in mind, fibroblast cells will also be there, because those fibroblast cells only they are forming the collagen fibers. Next, ground substance is made up of proteoglycans, that is sulfated glycosaminoglycans. Okay, and fibroblast का जो appearance होता है, it is star shaped. Okay, and the cells are also called as keratocytes in case of corneal stroma. Next is the Descemet's membrane. To see, till now we have not seen any blood vessel in the cornea, and as I have mentioned earlier, it is avascular. Avascular means it is not having any blood vessels. Okay. Now deep to the corneal stroma, so most of the thickness is made up of corneal stroma. इसके नीचे जो layer रहता है, that is called a Descemet's membrane. It is also called as true basement membrane. Okay. It is homogeneous. So Descemet's membrane. So what is this Descemet membrane? Below the corneal stroma. Below the corneal stroma, the layer which is there, that is called as Descemet membrane. It is a true basement membrane. Okay, it is homogeneous acellular. That means cells are not present in that particular basement membrane. Now, if you see the Descemet membrane, it is made up of number of proteins, including fibronectin, laminin, collagen, type 4, type 8, proteoglycans, heparan sulfate, and keratin sulfate. So different types of proteins are present. Acellular होता है, कोई cells नहीं रहता है. Instead of that, what is present? Different types of proteins are present. And along with the protein, you can get two different types of collagen fibers, that is type 4 and type 8. Okay. Now, under periodic acids for PAS method, if you see the color is bright magenta. Now this particular Descemet membranes extend into the sclera and ciliary muscle also. That is the extent of the Descemet membrane. Now इसका main function क्या है? Helps to maintain the curvature of the cornea. As I mentioned, what is the shape of the cornea? Convex in nature. Cornea जो होता है convex होता है. तो इसका जो कर्वेचर है दैट इज मेंटेन्ड बाय दिस डेस्मेट्स मेम्ब्रेन. Lastly, the corneal endothelium. Okay, corneal endothelium. Now, anyone have you heard about the endothelium? What is corneal endothelium? Endothelium क्या होता है? Do you remember the blood vessels which we have studied? What is the lining epithelium of blood vessels? Endothelium. Which type of epithelium is this? Yes, yes, बोलो. हाँ बोलो. Simple squamous epithelium. जो endothelium होता है, which type of epithelium is this? Simple squamous epithelium. Though they are present in the blood vessel, that's why it is called as endothelium. What about mesothelium? In peritoneum, you have studied about mesothelium, right? Find out what is mesothelium. Same like endothelium only. Peritoneum chapter you have studied, peritoneal cavity also you have studied. Then how come you don't know mesothelium? I know you have studied about mesothelium. Okay, so corneal endothelium lies the posterior surface of the cornea. See, it is made up of single layer of squamous cell. So anywhere in our body, wherever you will be getting this particular word endothelium, इसका मतलब क्या है? Simple squamous epithelium will be there. Okay, as you can see here also, simple squamous epithelium is there. Okay. Now this particular endothelium, anterior endothelium of the anterior chamber of the eyeball, is in direct contact with the aqueous humor. तो ये जो पर्टिकुलर कॉर्नियल एंडोथीलियम है, इट कम्स इन कॉन्टैक्ट विद द एक्वस ह्यूमर. ओके, फ्रॉम देयर ओनली द न्यूट्रिशन इज गोइंग टू द cornea, or else how it will get the nutrition. Now the cells, as you can see, of the aqueous the cells of the corneal endothelium, how they are attached? They are attached by zonula adherens, zonula occludens, and desmosomes. These are some connections between the cells of the endothelium. Okay, so corneal endothelium maintains the water balance of the corneal stroma, very important, pumps out the excess water from the corneal stroma, and it helps in maintaining the transparency of the cornea. Okay, that means the transport of molecules takes place through this endothelium layer, which is very important. Okay, because through the aqueous humor only the cornea is getting nutrients. Okay, so through which layer it will take place? It will take place through this corneal endothelium only. Okay, here you can see the histology of cornea. Okay, so 5 layers are there. Can you identify the 5 layers? Can you identify the 5 layers? Most of the thickness is made up of which layer? Corneal stroma. So first you can see corneal epithelium is there. That is stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. इसके नीचे एक basement membrane that is called as Bowman's membrane. Below that, this entire part is made up of stroma. Okay, this entire part is made up of stroma. ठीक है, stroma में क्या रहता है mainly? 2 things are there. Bundles of collagen fibers are there, and along with that ground substance are present. Okay, now bundles of collagen fibers having particular arrangement, and they are in the form of lamellae, layer wise arrangement hai. And along with that fibroblast cells are also present in this layer. Okay, but blood vessels are not there, and due to the unique arrangement, what happens? It is transparent in nature. Okay, so 90% of the thickness. Can you see the extent of the stroma? Can you see the extent of the stroma? ये देखो, यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक. Okay, the entire extent is made up of stroma. Okay, the most important layer of the cornea. Lastly, this is the desmet membranes. Desmet, see, a thin membrane is there. I hope you can see the image. Okay, ये देखो, यहाँ पे. This is the endothelium. Okay, this is the endothelium. Endothelium के ऊपर, I hope you can see, those students who are sitting in the front row, you can see a layer is there. This is the desmet membrane. Okay, इसमें क्या रहता है desmet membrane में? This is acellular in nature, homogeneous. Here we are getting different types of protein. Okay, in this particular layer. And next to that or deep to that, what we are getting? Corneal endothelium. ठीक है? Corneal endothelium is made up of simple squamous epithelium. इसका function क्या है? Water balance of the cornea is maintained. Sometime if more amount of water goes into the cornea, okay, it will pump out those water so that the cornea will become transparent only. And along with that, some molecules can also pass through this particular layer. Okay. Now, if you see deep to the corneal endothelium, ये जो corneal endothelium है, deep to this, यहाँ पे क्या रहेगा? Any idea? हाँ बोलो, यहाँ पे क्या रहेगा? यहाँ पे क्या रहेगा? This is the outermost, okay, this is the innermost layer. तो यहाँ we are getting the corneal endothelium. Deep to that, yes, बोलो, aqueous humor will present. Through aqueous humor only the nutrient has to go inside the cornea, right? So that's why here we will be getting the aqueous humor. And which chamber will be present over here? Which chamber of the eyeball? In the beginning I have shown you. Anterior chamber. Anterior chamber will be present over here. See, like this you have to correlate and study with the gross. That's why first few minutes I have explained the basic gross anatomy. Then I am going into the histo. Please correlate and study, or else it will become very difficult. Okay? So that is all about the cornea. So only we have studied the first layer, that is fibrous layer. Fibrous layer में कितना parts होता है? How many parts are there? 2 parts are there. What are they? Sclera and cornea. How many layers are there in sclera? 3 layers are there in sclera, and cornea 5 layers are there. Okay, so in each and every layer, whatever it is present, we have discussed. After fibrous layer, what is the next layer? Okay, next, if anyone asks you why exactly the cornea is transparent, these are the points. First of all, it is avascular, regular arrangement of the fibers in the stroma. Okay, then another important point, that is the refractive index of the fibers and ground substance are same, which property we have studied in case of hyaline cartilage, if you remember. जो hyaline cartilage होता है उसका जो ground substance है, that is also transparent in nature. Why? Because of the same refractive index of fibers and the ground substance. ठीक है? And next you can see uniform arrangement of the anterior epithelium and relative state of corneal dehydration, okay, which is done by the corneal endothelium, which pushes out the water, pumps out the water. These are some causes of the transparency of cornea. That's why cornea is transparent in nature, and it is important. If it is not transparent, light will not be able to enter the eyeball. Okay, entering of the light is very important. Okay, unless and until light enters and falls into the retina, you cannot see any object. Okay, light in the retina is causing retina or giving retina a stimulus. Whenever light is falling into the retina, it is giving a stimulus to the retina. Okay, for example, if I prick over here in your hand, what it will do? It will remove the hand. So this is the stimulus, right? Similarly, whenever light is falling into the retina, this is a stimulus. Then only it will produce the visual impulses. Now this particular diagram shows the layers. So first of all, you can see the sclera. Okay, we have studied everything about the sclera. Okay, now sclera and cornea is done. Now we will be discussing about the vascular layer. Fibrous layer is done. Next is the vascular layer. What is present in the vascular layer? 3 structures are present. What are they? Choroid, ciliary body and iris. Okay, so they are not present in different layers. Same layer में रहता है. Okay, जो posteriorly रहता है, that is the choroid. If you go anterior to the choroid, you will be getting the ciliary body, and more anterior to that, then you will be getting the iris. Let me show you the diagram. Can you see the vascular layer? It is denoted in red color, as you can see. तो ये देखो पूरा choroid है ये, ठीक है? Entire part is choroid. Only this particular area adjacent to the posterior pole, where it is pierced by the optic nerve. You can see it is pierced by the optic nerve. Okay, this is the choroid. Next, if you go anteriorly, then you will be getting the ciliary body, and here you will be getting the iris. Okay, so these are the parts of vascular layer. Okay, यहाँ पे क्या हो सकता है? Any idea what you have to study over here? Again, when you will take the choroid, you will get so many layers. When you will take this ciliary body also layers are present. Same in case of iris. Okay. So I have shown you where the choroid is present. Okay, so choroid is a pigmented vascular layer, pigmented as well as vascular layer. That means pigment cells are also present, and along with that, blood vessels are also present in the choroid. Okay, and where it is situated? It is situated between the retina and the sclera. Okay, retina and sclera के बीच में रहता है choroid. Now, if you see the anterior extension, it extends up to ora serrata. Okay, ora serrata is a part of retina. We'll discuss when the retina will be discussed. Okay, and anteriorly it ends at ora serrata by merging with the ciliary body. Okay, so choroid will end at ora serrata. Anterior to that, ciliary body will start. Okay, and posteriorly it is pierced by optic nerve. Just now I have shown you, posteriorly it is pierced by optic nerve, where it is firmly attached to the optic nerve. Okay, now in choroid, retinal pigment epithelial cells are also there, which provide oxygen and nourishment to the outer retina. This is very important. Now in the beginning I have mentioned that in retina so many layers are there. Okay, now those layers are divided into outer retina and inner retina, and the blood supply of the outer retina and inner retina is different. ठीक है, तो जो outer aspect of the retina है, first few layers, 3 to 4 layers, those are supplied by the blood vessels from choroid. Okay, and for inner layers, separate blood supply is there. Okay, so the retinal pigment epithelial cells which are present in the retina, okay, they are supplied by the arteries of the choroid, which provides nourishment to the outer retina. Okay, now next in the choroid, what is present? 3 layers are there in the choroid. What are those 3 layers? Suprachoroid lamina first, then choroid proper, and then the basal lamina, or also called as Brach's membrane. Okay, see, as I said, in structure of eyeball nothing is there, only layers. You won't believe, when you will study the Brach's membrane, इसमें भी 5 layer है. In Brach's membrane 5 layers are there. Okay, so ultimately I'll do one thing. Once I complete this one, I'll ask you to count all the layers. Till now we are in the first layer. The first layer is done. Now we are in the second layer. ठीक है, second layer में जो starting है, that is the choroid. So from where to where the choroid is extending, that I have shown you. Okay, now choroid is made up of pigment cell, and along with that blood vessels are also there. Different types of blood vessels are there. That means larger blood vessels are there, smaller blood vessels are there, even capillaries are also present, and along with that pigment cells are also present in the choroid. ठीक है, next and choroid का main function क्या है? What is the main function of the choroid? Provides nourishment to the outer aspect of the retina, or outer few layers of the retina. Okay, that is the main function of the choroid. Okay, now from outer to inner, choroid में कितना layer रहता है? How many layers are there? 3 layers are there. What are they? Suprachoroidal lamina, choroid proper, and basal lamina, also called as Brach's membrane. Now if you see the suprachoroidal lamina, it separates the choroid from the sclera. Okay, तो choroid is a part of which layer? Vascular layer. ठीक है, sclera के ठीक नीचे रहता है, तो it has to be separated from the sclera. How it is separated? By this suprachoroidal lamina. And after that, the choroid proper, or the stroma of the gland, stroma of the layer, main thickness is made up of this particular choroid proper, and basal lamina, are also called as Brach's membrane, which is present in between the choroid and the retina. Okay, through this particular membrane only the nutrients are reaching to the retina. ये जो Brach's membrane है, ये, this is very important. Through this Brach's membrane, the nutrients, okay, will reach the retina. Okay, that's why different layers are present over in the Brach's membrane. So suprachoroidal lamina is also called as lamina fusca. It is a non-vascular, delicate connective tissue containing collagen, elastic fibers, okay, branching cells containing pigment, and a plexus of nerve are also present, and some sensory neurons are also present in the plexus. Okay, so suprachoroidal lamina, if you see, it is non-vascular. That means blood vessels are not present. Okay. Instead of that, what we will be getting? We will be getting delicate connective tissue where collagen fibers, elastic fibers are there, and a plexus of nerve fibers are present in the suprachoroidal lamina. Now, suprachoroidal lamina, supra का मतलब क्या है? Above the choroid. So, this particular layer is separating the sclera and the choroid. Okay. Next is the choroid proper. Now, in this particular layer, we will be getting different types of blood vessel, choroid proper. Okay, where you can see network of blood vessels supported by connective tissue and pigmented cells are present. And due to the pigmented cell, the color of the choroid is dark. Okay, if you see the choroid under microscope, it will appear dark. Why? Because of the presence of pigmented cells. तो choroid proper में mainly क्या रहता है? Blood vessels are there, supported by a delicate network of connective tissue, and along with that pigment cells are also present. Now the pigment also prevents the reflection of the light within the eyeball. Okay, both these factors help in sharpness the image on the retina. तो ये जो pigments होता है, sometimes what happen, the light, okay, from various areas when it is entering, it can get reflected. Okay, now that reflection of the light is prevented by this particular type of pigment cells or particular type of pigment. They absorb the light. So unnecessary reflection of the lights are prevented by these pigment cells. Okay, why unnecessary reflection should not be there? Because see, light when it is falling on the retina, visual stimulus is generated. If it reflects, again it is falling in the retina, again the visual stimulus will be generated. Okay, so unnecessary visual stimulus is not required, because that will not be processed, cannot be processed properly in the layers of the cerebral cortex. Okay, that's why this particular type of cells are given. Okay, so in choroid proper, vascular lamina is there, where blood vessels, veins, lymphatics are present. Okay, and the capillary lamina, which is there, these are also called as choroid or capillaries. Okay, now connective tissues are also there, which are supporting the choroidal stroma. Next, as I said, branch membrane. The innermost layer is the branch membrane. Okay, branch membrane is a pentalaminar structure. That means 5 layers are there. And branch membrane का main function क्या है? To provide nutrition to the outer aspect of the retina. Okay. So it is located in between the retinal pigment epithelium. This is a layer of retina and fenestrated choroidocapillaries of the eye. That means the capillary layer of the choroid. In between this, the branch membrane is present. Okay. Now you can see it is made up of elastin and rich extracellular matrix act as a molecular sieve. What is the meaning of molecular sieve? जो branch membrane होता है, it act as a molecular sieve. In biochemistry, in physiology, I hope you have studied about molecular sieve. जो particular molecules का transfer होता है, ions का transfer होता है across the cell membrane. You have not studied? In physiology, you have not studied all those things. I know you have studied. Actually क्या होता है, जो molecular sieve होता है, it act as a semi-permeable membrane. Okay, it acts as a semi-permeable membrane and allows selective permeability. Selective permeability का मतलब है, some molecules are allowed to go across the membrane, but other molecules are stopped. It cannot go across the membrane. Okay, that is the molecular sieve, and also called as selective permeability. Okay, so the molecules which will go through this particular membrane, the structure and the shape and size will be different. Okay, and only those molecules are allowed. Other molecules are not allowed. Okay, so that is the molecular sieve. So this particular branch membrane is an elastin and collagen rich extracellular matrix, act as a molecular sieve. Okay, now इसमें क्या होता है, reciprocal exchange of biomolecules, nutrients, oxygens, fluid and metabolic waste products are taking place. In between what? In between the retina and general circulation. Circulation means the circulations which are present in the choroid. ठीक है. कोरोइड का जो कोरोइड प्रॉपर है और स्ट्रोमा उसमें क्या रहता है, ब्लड वेसल्स रहता है. ठीक है. तो इन बिटवीन दैट दोज ब्लड वेसल्स एंड द रेटिना, हाउ द न्यूट्रिशन विल बी एक्सचेंज्ड with the help of this Bruch's membrane. Okay, so here I will not go in detail about the Bruch's membrane, so many things are there, just the name of the layers, that will be enough. So if you see the layers of the Bruch's membrane from inside to outside, the basement membrane is there, which is made for the retinal pigment epithelium. Next, inner collagenous zone, central elastic fiber, again outer collagenous zone, and basement membrane of the choricocapillaries. Okay, so this particular choricocapillaries, this is the part of the choroid. ठीक है. From here the blood vessels are present, so from here the transport will take place. ठीक है. After that outer collagenous, then central band of elastic fiber, inner collagenous, and the basement membrane, and this basement membrane is for the retinal pigment epithelium. Okay, this layer is the part of retina. Now for Bruch's membrane, directly under microscope we cannot see Bruch's membrane. For that what is required? Yes, for that EM structure is required. As simple, अगर normal microscope में दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है, then क्या करना है? What you have to do? We'll use electron microscope. Okay, so this is the electron microscope image of Bruch's membrane. Can you see the layers? Now can you identify which side is retina and which side is choroid? This side is no, this side is retina. ठीक है. ये देखो, this side is retina, retinal pigment epithelium is there, and this is the basement. So this side is retina, this side is choroid. Okay, here you can see the blood capillaries, choricocapillaries. तो यहाँ से जो nutrients है, through these layers it will go and supply this outer aspect of the retina. Okay, retina में बहुत सारा layers रहता है. All the layers cannot be supplied by single source. Okay, that's why जो outer layers है, those are supplied by this particular choricocapillaries. ठीक है. So this choricocapillaries, from here the oxygen and the other molecules, how they will pass? They will pass through this membrane and then they will reach over here. Now यहाँ का जो waste material है, again they will pass and go into the blood vessel. That's why here you will be getting arteries also, veins also, capillaries also, and along with that lymphatics are also present. Okay, so that is all about the which layer? Choroid. After choroid, what is the next? Ciliary body, and then iris. Okay, so here can you see the ciliary body? Can you see the ciliary body? ये देखो, this is the ciliary body. So see, first we have discussed about this layer. ठीक है. First we have discussed about this layer. Which layer is this? This is the fibrous layer. ये पूरा layer, this is the fibrous layer. So this is the sclera, this is cornea. ये पूरा discussed हो गया है. Now we are in the second layer. Second layer में क्या है? What is there in the second layer? The second layer is vascular layer. Second layer is vascular layer. In the vascular layer, first here what we got? We got the choroid. ठीक है. Now if you go to the anterior aspect, now this is the ciliary body. Now we have to discuss about the ciliary body. ठीक है. And then about the iris. So anyone, what is the function of ciliary body? Huh? Yes? Yes, yes. No, not pupil, not pupil. Lens, yes. Can you see the attachment of the lens? In microscopic structure of eyeball or in the ocular histology, okay, you have to study about the microscopic structure of lens. This one. Okay, microscopic structure of lens. This is also there. Then microscopic structure of eyelids. ये जो eyelid होता है, eyelid, upper eyelid, lower eyelid. Okay, microscopic structure of eyelid also you have to study. Then you have to study about the microscopic structure of conjunctiva. Okay, so many things are there. So what I am planning, at least 2 to 3 classes will be required in order to complete the entire microscopic structure of eyeball. Okay, that means at least 3 weeks the microscopic structure will be continued. Okay, so you have seen the ciliary body. Okay. Now, basic structure of the ciliary body has to be known. Then we'll go to the layers of the ciliary body. Okay. So it is the thickened part of the uveal. Uveal tract is also called as the vascular membrane or vascular layer. Uveal tract is also called as the vascular layer. Don't get confused. Okay. Now, if you see the location, it is lying just posterior to the corneal limbus. So this is the corneal limbus. What is corneal limbus? What is corneal limbus? Sclerocorneal junction, or also called as limbus, junction between the sclera and the cornea. Sclerocorneal limbus. ठीक है, इसके ठीक posteriorly you can see we are getting the ciliary body. Okay, this is the location for the ciliary body. Now it continues anteriorly with the iris. See, anterior, this is anterior, this is posterior. Anteriorly we are getting the iris, posteriorly we are getting the choroid which we have studied just now. Okay, इसका फंक्शन क्या है? यू कैन सी इट सस्पेंड्स द लेंस एंड हेल्प्स इन द एकोमोडेशन ऑफ नियर विजन. तो ये देखो सस्पेंसरी लिगामेंट ऑफ लेंस है फ्रॉम द सिलियरी बॉडी, इट इज अटैच्ड टू द लेंस. ओके, तो सिलियरी बॉडी में मसल्स रहता है, कॉन्ट्रैक्शन एंड रिलैक्सेशन ऑफ द मसल, इट हेल्प्स इन द एकोमोडेशन ऑफ द लेंस. ओके, विच इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर नियर विजन. Now, ciliary body is also made up of layers. Okay, so what is present in the ciliary body? Three things are there: stroma, ciliaris muscle and bilaminar epithelium. Okay, bilaminar epithelium का मतलब क्या है? What is the meaning of bilaminar? हाँ, bilaminar का मतलब क्या है? दो layers, two layers are there. So two layers of epithelium will be there. Okay, and what else? Stroma is there, and there, along with that ciliaris muscles are present. Okay, now if you see the muscle component, it consists of ciliaris muscle. Okay, इसका function क्या है? Responsible for producing alteration in the convexity of the lens. लेंस का जो convexity है उसको alter करता है this ciliary muscle, enabling the eye to see object at varying and distance object. That means near object, far object, whenever we see the shape of the lens changes. ये change कैसे होता है? Due to the contraction of the ciliaris muscle. कहाँ पे रहता है ciliaris muscle? Ciliary body में रहता है. Okay. 3 different groups of fibers are there. Here I have not included. Those will be discussed in the gross anatomy of eyeball of the ciliary body. 3 different types of fibers are there. Okay, arrangements are different. Next, inner surface, double layer epithelium is there. Outer layer is pigmented, whereas inner layer is non-pigmented. Okay. Now the cells of the inner layer, दो layer होता है, ठीक है? Outer layer and inner layer. If you see the outer layer is pigmented, inner layer is not being pigmented. And what is the function of inner layer? It secretes aqueous humor. So in the beginning I have mentioned aqueous humor, right? तो aqueous humor कहाँ से secrete होता है? These are the cells. As you can see, the cells of the inner layer, it secretes aqueous humor. Okay, ciliary body which is there, where ciliary processes are there. Okay, those ciliary processes also helps in the production of the aqueous humor. Here you can see the anterior part of the ciliary body has short processes towards the lens. These are called as ciliary process. Okay, now the ciliary stroma is made up, includes suprachoroid, vascular and basal lamina. It consists of fasciculi of collagen fibers which supports the ciliary vessels, nerves and ciliaris muscle. So these are the structures which are included in the ciliary stroma. Here you can see the diagram. Okay, now in the diagram you can see double layer of epithelium. Okay, you can see this is the inner layer and this is the outer layer. Okay, next here is the ciliary stroma. In ciliary stroma, as you can see, blood vessels are present. Okay, and along with that ciliaris muscles are also there. Okay, and this particular part you can see it is attached to the lens with the help of zonular fibers, or also called as suspensory ligament of lens. Okay, okay, so we will stop over here. Okay, the iris is left, this particular part is done. Okay, so in this particular diagram only you can see the double layer epithelium, right? So this double layer epithelium inner layer and outer layer is there. Okay, one layer is pigmented, another layer is non-pigmented. Non-pigmented layer जो होता है उसका function क्या है? To produce the aqueous humor. ठीक है. Next जो stroma होता है is mainly made up of blood vessels are there, and along with that ciliary muscles are also present. Ciliary muscle का function क्या है? Helps in the accommodation for near vision. Okay. So this is done. Now this particular part is left, the iris. Okay. So what are the layers present in iris? Also some muscles are present, as you can see. Sphincter pupillae and dilator pupillae are there. These are the smooth muscles which are also present in the iris. I hope you have heard about pupil. Pupil कहाँ पे रहता है? Where is the pupil is present? हाँ? In the iris only the pupil is present. ठीक है? तो pupil का function क्या है? It controls the amount of light entering the eyeball. Okay, so for that, how it will control? Muscles are there. Okay, so this contraction, dilatation of the muscle will increase and decrease the diameter of the pupil. Okay, so that we have to study about, means what are the different types of muscle present. Okay, and what are the layers. Again, in the pupil, if you see 4 different layers are present in the pupil. Okay, see 4 different layers are there in the pupil, and in each and every layer what is present. Okay, what are the cells, what are the fibers. So this will be discussed in the next class, and along with that I will continue with retina. Okay, thank you.